All right. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us today for the webinar. My name is Kamala, and Jack and I will be presenting this 30-minute webinar today on calculating as-built quantities. So first, welcome back to our regulars, and if this is your first time, thanks for coming to take a look. Softtree has been developing corridor design software for the last over 25 years, and at the core of our company, we have a very user-centric philosophy. Many of you sure already know. We focus on engineering over drafting, and more importantly, we make our software simple and easy to use, and you will see that in action today. So the featured project for the webinar today is a rural highway project, and here's a brief agenda on what we'll be covering today. So Jack will show you how to bring in your as-built surfaces. Then he will take a look at the cross-section areas and do some manual editing. And then he will do the as-built calculations, and we will end with showing you how to create some cross-section output sheets. And if you have any questions, by the way, during the webinar, feel free to type in any questions you have in the question box, and we will, Jack will hopefully see them there and answer them during the webinar. I'll create output sheets. There's my last point there. Presentation will be done in RoadEng, and Jack will be using two modules of the program, location and terrain. And as always, you will see that RoadEng is fast and powerful and easy to use program. And with that, I will pass on to Jack, and he will show you how to calculate as-built quantities.
Thank you, Cam. Welcome, folks. Welcome to our bi-weekly webinar. This is like Cam said, this is the last one of this year. We will be continuing on in January with more informative webinars. If you guys want to look on our website, coming in January, you should see a lot more webinars. They will probably be bi-weekly still at this point. We might have them at greater frequency, showing different things, but we'll see how that turns out. Today I want to show you how to do calculation of as-built quantities. What as-built quantity calculation entails is bringing in three separate surfaces. In this case, three separate surfaces. You could have more. I'm going to bring in a stripped surface. I'm going to bring, first of all, I'm going to bring in topo, the original ground, a stripped surface, and finally a subgrade surface. I'm going to compare the volumes between the two couple of surfaces. Start by going File, New, and like Cam said, there is a question panel. So if you do have some questions, I will look over every so often just to see if those questions or what those questions are. Open up my original ground. So these are all terrain files of separate surfaces. Just a little explanation of what as-builts are. So basically, the contractor wants to find out if the design has been, if the built road has been built to specifications. So what they will, what the surveyor will do is, at each stage of the design, they will go out and resurvey the road. First of all, they'll obviously they survey the original topo, and then after the stripping has been completed, they will go out and survey the stripping, and then finally they will go out and survey the subgrade surface, and then we use our software to compare all those three surfaces. I brought in my original topo. I started at the center line, the line that you see here, the red line. There is a template that's in here. I'm not going to use that template. I'm just going to switch it over to an as-built template. I really don't need to have anything that has cross sections in it. I just want to have something that's going to focus on my original ground layers. My original ground and my other two layers, my stripped surface and my finished grade. Go into my template editor and get a set of templates for as-built design. design. As-built surfaces. So the template is actually not important, although it is a road with ditches and cuts. That's not the important part. The important part of this is that we have materials in here, and each of my surfaces, my layers, will be put into a different material. In this case, stripping and surveyed final or subgrade. Press OK. So I don't want to actually see this template in my design, so I'm going to assign a no cut, no fill template. There. Next step is to bring in all of my my two other surfaces. Let's do that. Go into Module, Setup, Alignment. I'm going to just change the start station just because make it a little bit more interesting, just to show you how you can change the start station of a design in our software. And select my two terrains, go into reference, scroll down until you get to reference terrain 1. Double click on reference terrain 1. I'm going to bring in my stripped surface as my first surface, and then put that into the layer called surveyed stripping, or the surface called survey stripping. Secondly, I'm going to get my finish grade or my subgrade terrain, which is FG. Put that into my surveyed final, and make sure that you include, for both of these, make sure that you have toggled on include in cross-section as template, volume, surface, example, as built. So make sure that's toggled on for both of those. Press OK. There's my surfaces. They're not very colorful yet, but in a second they will be. You'll see some color happening. When I retrieve a screen layout, an as-built screen layout, so you can see here there's a section window and a data window that has some volumes in it. Although the stationing for these volumes is not correct, I'll fix that in a couple of minutes. Next step is to add my sections from my fixed section editor. Before I do that, let's just do a little recap of what I've done so far. I have brought in my original topo, brought in my assigned a template that holds my surfaces or my layers, and then brought in my separate surfaces, my stripped surface and my finished surface, and then assigned a screen layout that brought in the look that you see right now. Next step is to assign a sections. I'm going to go from 1000, which is the start, to around 1140. Turn off point types. I'm going to turn on my own. I'm going to do 20-meter intervals. And then this is going to be my start of my range. So here's my cross sections, my fixed sections. 10, 1000, 1020, 1040, 1060, 1080, 1100, and 1120, and 1140, and so on and so forth. There you go. Next thing I would like to talk about before I actually go into talking about volumes is the actual cross-section and some of the things you're seeing, the colors and also the areas and other information about the cross-section. Before I do that, let me just change my point types, the point types that I'm showing to fixed section points in my data window. So that way you'll see just the sections that you see here. That's the volumes that you want to see. That's one of the volumes that you want to focus on. I can actually remove this UG layer because it's not being used. Let me do that. We're only focusing on these two layers, the cut and fill of the stripping and the cut and fill of the subgrade cross sections. Let me just turn on some more color here. Hatch all cut areas just so that you can see. So the finished grade has been colored to be a green slash. The strip surface is just a dot, a close dot, red dot here that you see. Okay, so just a little bit more about how this is surveyed. Obviously, the original ground is surveyed first. The road is designed. Stripping has been taken away. The stripped surface has been designed or built in the field. So basically, the stripping has been done, and then it's been surveyed, and another terrain has been created for the stripped surface, and then the road has been built, and then it has been surveyed, and this is our final layer right here that you can see right here, this green line with the green dash, or sorry, the hatching. If I hover over any of these layers, you can see that there's a splash screen that shows me some information. At this point right here, my horizontal offset from center line is 10.2 meters. My vertical offset from center line is negative 0.3, so that means I'm underneath the ground a little bit relative to the center line. And my elevation is 915.3 at this point. And also the material that's being cut is subgrade, yes, finished grade. And there's an area of 29.5 square meters in here. And it also gives you an adjusted area, which is the same as the actual area. If I hover over this, you'll see there's different. Now we're at 10.3 meter offset horizontally. Vertically, we're positive 0.6 above where I am at center line. Elevation is 916.2. The material that's being cut is stripping. And there's the area right there of that stripping material. If I hover over this area, you'll see another couple of numbers. What's being cut in this area is stripping, and what's being filled in this area is this material right here, which is your subgrade material. And it gives you those two areas of those materials. All right, that's good enough about area. Let me show you next how to manipulate the cross section using the mouse. A lot of people want to be able to manipulate the cross section using mouse. You can select any of your areas. For instance, this area right here, I can or this select any of my lines. Sorry, not areas but lines. I have just selected the finished grade, and then you right click, add edit polyline point tool. I can pick up that point, move it around anywhere. You'll see that the area will change if I hover over it. Yeah, the area has changed. Let me go back. It was 31. It's 31.5 now. Let me just move it back, and it should be a little bit less. Yes, it is 28.2. You can also select points along your design, like bottom of ditch. Bottom of ditch is interesting because you can actually make it wider. Let's say we want to make our ditch 1.1 meters wider to exactly be 12 horizontal. Apply, so that will actually move. That'll actually widen that ditch. I can also do the same thing on the inside of the ditch. Let's make it exactly 8 meters from center line. Apply. There. That's how you would manipulate the cross section. There's a number of ways of manipulating. You can add points if you want to. So if you want to click on the on any of these lines, you can move them around, manipulate them yourself. The second last thing I'd like to show you is volumes. Notice that the strip fill column here, most of them are 0 except for a couple of glaring mistakes. This stripping should never fill. So these are obviously survey errors. To fix those survey errors, I'm going to show you how to, let me just turn off some of this hatching. There's my strip line right here. Most of it is underground. On this side it's underground. But on the left side, left side of this cross section, it is quite a lot above my original topo. To fix this, use a what we call layer operations. Select the cross section, layer operations. What I want to do is I want to choose the minimum between two layers. In this case, the layers will be either the stripping or the ground. So I want to take the layer 1 as topo, layer 2 as stripping, and I want to put both of those, whichever one is the minimum of those two at every section of the road, into stripping. Apply to all sections. And I want to restrict this inclusively with either layer 1 and 2. And my range will be within, horizontal extents will be within the stripping, or the strip surface. Once I press OK, and I'm applying to all cross sections, once I press OK, it'll ask me to overwrite, and I do want to overwrite. There. All I have to do is one little thing is edit You can see there's a couple of 0.9s here. Edit, recalculate all, and then there'll be zeros in the entire column. So now my stripping surface in this section, which was way above ground or topo, is now following the topo, which is a lot better than actually being above ground. The rest of my stripping is the same as it was before. It's still underground because this is the actual min point here. On this side, the min point was the actual ground. Last thing I'd like to show you is how to output these sections. I'll retrieve a screen layout for section output. Change my page size. Change it to 11 by 17. Landscape. Change my layout to 1 column and 3 rows. I want to see what point types do I want to see this at. I want to see it at point types. I want to see it at my fixed sections that I just talked about. Fixed section points. And also I want to go into my options and select the template plus sign, and also turn on hatch cut areas, as well as change my line type. I like to have red for this one, and hatching of diagonal going up to the left. And then for this one, I want to hatch cut areas again. Choose green, hatching going up to the right. Press OK, and OK, and OK again, and OK finally. There we go. Okay, so just a little recap of what I did from the start. I wanted to calculate the as-built volumes for a road. And what as-builts are, our surveyor will go out at each stage of the road and survey those parts of the road. First of all, the topo, and then it gets designed. And then he goes out and surveys the stripping. And then he surveys the final designed road. Those 3 surfaces were created in our terrain module, which is beyond this demonstration. The surfaces were created, and then they were compared. I manipulated the cross-section a bit and also showed you how to fix survey errors using our fixed section editor, and then I showed you some output. Thank you very much. I'm going to just pass it on to Cam, and she'll finish up.
Just a little summary of what we did today. So Jack brought in some as-built services, calculated quantities, created some output sheets, showed you at the end, and that's pretty much it. So our upcoming webinars for the new year, here are 3 that are going to be happening in January and early February. So you can sign up if you want to see more. And that's about it. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays from all of us here. Hope you have a great rest of December.